Welcome, C9 followers of the podcast and business page. You've tuned in to the deep dive.
Yep, the show where we take all that source material you give us, articles, notes, research.
Now, we basically cut through all the noise. We try to pull out the really important bits, the key knowledge and insights.
Our mission really is just to help you make sense of it all, understand what actually stands out and, why it really matters.
That's it. I'm Lex.
And I'm Vera.
From the C9 podcast show. And today, we're diving into something specifically for you if you happen to be an Australian business owner or maybe a C-level executive.
Yeah, we're looking at expert database development and administration services. And we're basing this on info from C9 PAI, Ltd. They're specialists in custom software apps integration.
And crucially for today, database development, right here in Australia.
Exactly. And our goal today is to help you see how these expert properly tailored database solutions. Well, they're not just technical stuff. They can actually drive efficiency, security, and, real growth for your business.
Yeah. So let's get straight into it. Based on the material we've got, we're really digging into why custom database development is so vital, especially through that Australian lens. Okay, so maybe starting right at the beginning, based on what we looked at. What actually is database development, and why should a business owner, even at a high level, kind of get it?
Okay, yeah. Think of it like designing the perfect, super efficient filing system, but it's all digital for your software applications. So the whole process, really, designing it, creating it, managing that structure where all your application's data actually lives.
So designing the container.
Pretty much. It means figuring out exactly what data you need, how it all fits together. That's the schema design, like the blueprint, and then, actually building it using a database management system, a DBMS.
Gotcha. So it's not just checking data somewhere, it's about smart organization. Why is having that proper structure so important for apps handling actual business data?
Well, because without a solid structured database, trying to manage any serious amount of data just becomes messy, really inefficient, really fast.
Databases make it possible to, get your information, update it, delete it quickly and reliably. But maybe the most critical thing, especially for businesses, a well-designed database is absolutely fundamental for data integrity.
Integrity meaning?
Making sure your data is accurate, it's consistent, it's reliable. And of course, for security, it's kind of like your secure vault and your super efficient library all rolled into one.
Okay. The essential backbone, then, for reliable data. Now, the source material we reviewed, it makes it really clear this isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of deal.
Yeah.
It mentioned 3 common types of databases. What were the main differences there?
Right. Yeah, it highlights relational, NoSQL, and in-memory databases. Relational ones are probably what most people picture, even if they know the name.
Okay.
They structure data into tables, and these tables relate to each other using things like foreign keys. They're really good for structured data, varied data, where the relationships between different bits of data are important, and they're generally pretty easy to query and update. So like a whole system of interconnected spreadsheets, but way more powerful.
That's a good analogy, yeah. Very structured, very interconnected. Then you've got NoSQL databases. Now, these were designed for something else entirely, handling massive amounts of unstructured or semi-structured data.
Unstructured
Like text documents, social media posts, sensor data, that kind of thing. They're the go-to for, big data applications or situations where you need to scale out really quickly without being locked into a rigid structure.
Okay. More fluid then. Maybe for things like, I don't know, user activity streams or just huge varied data sets.
Exactly. And then the third type mentioned is in-memory databases. The name kind of gives it away, right?
Yeah.
The data is stored directly in RAM, the computer's main memory, not on the slower disk drives.
So faster.
Incredibly fast.
Yeah.
Super quick for access and processing. Perfect for things like real-time analytics or processing transactions almost instantly. The catch is, well, you're limited by how much RAM you actually have.
Fascinating. So it really depends on what you're trying to do with the data. It's not just picking a database, it's picking the right type of database.
Precisely. The right tool for the job.
Okay, let's zoom in a bit on a really key theme in the material. This focus on C9, and specifically them positioning themselves as an Australian company. Why do you think that local focus is stressed so much? And why the big emphasis on custom or bespoke solutions?
Yeah, that Australian focus really jumps out, doesn't it? The material consistently talks about C9's deep understanding of the local business scene. And it's not just about, being located here. It seems to be about navigating specific Australian data regulations, which are getting pretty complex, and really having a solid grasp of the unique operational needs, the systems that are common in different Australian industries. You see phrases like expert database developer services for Australian businesses and tailored for Australia. It
Yeah.
feels like more than just marketing fluff. It points to like genuine specialized local knowledge.
Right, like they're saying being based in Australia isn't quite the same as being built for Australian business needs.
Exactly that. And that connects directly to their main thing, custom database development. There's a line in the material that really nails it. Where standard solutions force compromises, our bespoke approach delivers measurable advantages.
Hmm.
Strong claim.
It is. It suggests they're not just rolling out standard off-the-shelf systems, they're actually engineering solutions, often from the ground up, specifically for each client.
So building the system to fit the business, not trying to jam the business into a pre-made system.
Yes, that's the core idea, I think. And tailoring it for the Australian context means making sure the database perfectly aligns with how your Australian business actually works day to day. It means meeting local compliance needs, things like data sovereignty.
We'll probably come back to that one.
Definitely. And integrating smoothly with the specific local systems or software you might already be using. Okay, so the why behind custom and local seems pretty clear. Now, let's get practical. What are the actual tangible benefits the source material says Australian businesses get from this kind of expert custom approach?
Okay, it lays out several key advantages. First up is customized database architecture. The idea here is when your database is designed precisely for your specific Australian business processes, well, it's optimized right from the start for performance, for scalability, for security. In a way, a generic solution just, well, it can't be. It avoids all those clunky workarounds.
Right, so it's less about forcing your processes to fit the technology and more about the tech actually enabling the processes you already have, hopefully efficient ones.
Exactly. Second big one, seamless data integration. This is huge for pretty much any business, right? The material talks about pulling data together from all sorts of different sources, including systems commonly used here in Australia, into one unified view.
Breaking down those silos.
Totally. Breaking down those frustrating data silos that just slow everything down, it helps different departments work together better, gives you that single source of truth, leading to better insights, more efficiency, all really relevant for the Australian market context.
Getting all your different systems to actually talk to each other properly.
That's the goal. Third, and this is critical, advanced data security measures and compliance. The source really leans into this. It details things like advanced encryption, granular access control so only the right people see the right data, continuous monitoring, automated backup, and disaster recovery. But the real nugget for Australian businesses is that explicit statement. We ensure compliance with Australian data protection regulations, giving you peace of mind and safeguarding your business reputation within Australia. And yeah, data sovereignty compliance is specifically mentioned.
Security is obviously massive everywhere, but yeah, the regulatory landscape here in Australia definitely adds specific wrinkles. Having that local expertise seems pretty vital.
Absolutely. Fourth benefit, optimized query performance. Now, this might sound a bit techy, but the impact is pure business benefit. Slow databases mean frustrated staff and delayed decisions.
Oh,
correct?
yeah, everyone's felt that pain.
The material talks about getting lightning-fast data retrieval and processing. Now, for Australian teams, maybe especially in sectors like resources or agriculture, where you're dealing with enormous data sets, this isn't just a nice-to-have. It's critical for productivity. They even mention a figure, up to 40% improvement in query performance.
Oh, up to 40%. That's actually a massive difference in day-to-day operations.
It really is significant. Fifth point, scalable solutions. Growth is what everyone wants, right? But your IT shouldn't break when you grow. Custom solutions, according to this, are built with that future expansion baked in. Flexible architectures that can handle more data, more users, without performance tanking or needing some huge expensive overhaul later. They mention leveraging cloud platforms, often specifically with Australian data centers, as part of this strategy. The material literally says, our database development services focus on creating scalable solutions that grow with your organization.
So the database scales with the business instead of becoming a barrier to growth.
That's the idea. And finally, number 6, ongoing support and maintenance. The material stresses that the relationship doesn't just end when the database is built. They offer ongoing support to fix issues, implement updates, provide guidance, basically making sure you keep getting the maximum value out of that database investment, specifically within that Australian context.
Those are some really solid points. The material also, it specifically flags some of these as measurable advantages of going bespoke versus standard. Can you remind us what those key metrics were?
Yeah, they do try to quantify it.
Yep.
We already mentioned that up to 40% improvement in query performance. They also talk about enabling real-time analytics capabilities, which you get from faster data access. Then there's reduced maintenance overhead.
Which hits the bottom line.
Directly. And maybe surprisingly important for some businesses, complete intellectual property ownership.
Ah, owning the IP. That's actually a huge point. Why is that sometimes tricky with standard solutions, and how does custom development fix that, according to the source?
Well, standard off-the-shelf software often comes with complex licensing agreements restrictions. You don't always own the underlying code or structure in the same way. When you commission a custom database solution built just for you, the source suggests the intellectual property generally resides with you, the client.
Right. That makes sense.
And the material explains how they achieve these measurable advantages. It comes down to their methodology, focusing on things like precision-engineered schemas aligned with your operational workflows, performance-optimized design that eliminates data bottlenecks, future-ready scaling capabilities built into the foundation, and seamless integration with existing enterprise systems.
So it really boils down to that careful custom engineering process, building it precisely for your needs that unlocks these concrete business benefits and avoids the limitations you might hit with generic options.
That seems to be the core argument, yes.
It sounds like C9 offers a pretty wide range of services then, beyond just building the database initially. What did you get from the material about the full scope of their work and, I guess, their experience level?
Yeah, the material lists a really comprehensive set of services covering basically the whole data lifecycle. Things like data cleansing and migration, which is super important, right? Getting your existing messy data cleaned up and moved safely into the new system.
Yeah, garbage in, garbage out otherwise.
Exactly. And then there's ongoing database administration and management, and even application maintenance and support for the software that uses the database.
Okay, so they can help clean up the past, build the future, and keep it all humming along nicely afterwards.
Right, it's presented as a sort of end-to-end capability. And they definitely emphasize their track record. Claims like being trusted by some of Australia's leading businesses, and that simple phrase, proven Aussie results.
Okay, do they back that up with numbers?
They do. They mention 45-plus services, 350-plus projects, experience with 100-plus technologies, and 18-plus years in the business.
Wow, okay. 18-plus years and over 350 projects. That definitely suggests some serious depth of experience, especially with that specific Australian focus we talked about. And what about the tech side, that 100-plus technologies? Did the material give examples?
Yeah, it lists a pretty broad range of tech they work with, which is important because, businesses use all sorts of different systems. It includes various database technologies themselves like MS SQL, MySQL, PostgreSQL, even NoSQL ones like MongoDB.
Right.
Plus development platforms like .NET, front-end tech like React, the big cloud providers, AWS, Azure, business intelligence tools like Power BI, and even specific integrations like with Xero accounting software.
That breadth is pretty key, isn't it? It suggests they're probably well-equipped to integrate with whatever existing systems an Australian business might already have.
Exactly. It signals flexibility, adaptability, the capability to work across a wide tech spectrum.
Let's circle back quickly to security because it's obviously so critical, especially here in Australia. What are the specifics of that enterprise-grade security framework the material mentions? What does that actually involve?
The material describes it as a multi-layered thing. It starts with the technical foundations, advanced encryption protocols, both for data sitting still at rest and data moving around in transit.
Okay, covering both states.
Yeah. Then there's granular access control systems, making sure only authorized people can see or change specific bits of data. Continuous security monitoring and threat detection, so they're actively looking for trouble. And robust, automated backup and disaster recovery solutions, the safety net, basically, so you can get back up and running quickly if something bad does happen.
Right. Protect the data, control who sees it, watch for threats, and have a plan B. Sounds comprehensive.
It does. And then there's that other crucial layer, compliance and governance. This involves sticking to industry-specific regulatory requirements, doing regular security audits and penetration testing to proactively find weaknesses.
Testing your own defenses.
Right. Maintaining comprehensive audit trails and reporting so you know who did what when. And there it is again, that specific vital point about data sovereignty compliance for Australian businesses.
Yeah, that explicit call out of data sovereignty feels really important, making sure data stays within Australian borders if it needs to, which is a huge requirement for many sectors here.
It really hammers home that local specificity in their approach, doesn't it?
So, pulling all these different threads together now for our listener, that Australian business owner or C-level exec tuning in, what's the main takeaway you got from all this source material about custom database development in this context?
I think the fundamental insight, really, is that for Australian businesses dealing with, more and more complex data, bigger volumes, stricter regulations, expert custom database development isn't just some technical nice to have. It actually comes across from this material as a powerful strategic move.
Strategic, not just operational.
Yeah. A solution that's genuinely tailored for the Australian context, like the one described coming from C9, seems to offer tangible, measurable advantages in performance. It ensures strong security and compliance with local laws, including data sovereignty. It provides that crucial scalability for growth, and it integrates properly with the specific operational systems common here.
So the message seems to be moving beyond those potentially compromising generic solutions and investing in something purpose-built for your business reality and the unique Australian landscape. Well, that's how you really tap into the full power of your data.
That's certainly the compelling case the source material seems to be making, yes.
Absolutely. Which leaves us with maybe a final thought for you, the listener, to chew on based on everything we've discussed today. Given this constant increase in data volume, data complexity, and the absolute critical need for top-notch security and local compliance here in Australia, what's the hidden cost right now to your specific business of maybe relying on standard generic database solutions that might be forcing compromises you're not even fully aware of?
It's definitely a question worth asking yourself, isn't it?
Indeed. So, if the challenges and opportunities we've talked about today resonate with you, and maybe you're thinking about moving beyond those compromises to unlock the real strategic potential of your data with a tailored Australian-focused approach, well, we'd encourage you to explore what C9, who bill themselves as Australia's leading custom software, apps integration, and database developer company, actually offer.
You can find out more about their services and their whole approach over at their website, which is www.c9.com.au.
And hey, if you found this deep dive useful and you want more insights like this, distilled from source material delivered straight to you, make sure you click that follow button so you don't miss our future sessions.
And please do share this with any other Australian business leaders you think might benefit from this kind of knowledge.
Until next time, from Lex
And Vera at the C9 Podcast Show. Thanks for joining us.